Welcome. Welcome to dotAI, the tech track designed for engineers, data scientists, data engineers as well, data professionals, and CTOs. So for you, the one who actually build AI. For those of you who don't know us, I know there are some of our previous attendees at dotAI. We are the host of the official dotAI conference designed for builders of AI. We gather AI contributors from all over the world in Paris. We are a world-class conference with super techy and actionable content and the ability to meet the contributor one-on-one. Note in your agenda, we're back the 6th of November in Paris. You can just visit dotAI.io to join us. Now, let me take you a few weeks ago, when I looked at the program of the AI Action Summit, I asked a simple question. Where should tech people go? Are we talking about the underlying tech and the possibilities for builders? Sure, AI can change the world. We can host 100 panels about it, but let's do it. Let's ship things, right? So this is exactly the spirit for this hour. You'll hear how to build Gen AI workflows with Dataiku, how to assure real time by looking at an AI in production with Mirakl, how to secure your entire AI development lifecycle with Gitlab, and finally, how to build your agents with Operator and O3 Mini with OpenAI. So let's welcome our first speaker, Aude Colleville from Dataiku.
So in this room, who works in the data team? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many developers do we have? Some also. Well, I'm sure both of you get a lot of requests from the business team, right? So today, I'm going to show you how to ship AI in order to actually answer more efficiently to all of those business requests. So for that, let's all put ourselves in the shoes of a data scientist for a retailer company specialized in bookstores. Let's imagine that this morning you received an email from the marketing team asking you for some help in order to enhance their marketing strategy. So currently they are doing their marketing manually and they write all of the emails for the marketing campaigns and they want to enhance this with AI in order to make it scalable. So they are launching a new campaign for the launch of a new book and they want to offer that book to some of the customers. In order to do that use case, you will have to go through different steps. You will have first to access your data and prepare them for the marketing use case. Then you will have to work on the machine learning model in order to predict the targets of that marketing campaign. Then you'll work on the email generation. And finally, how to put that in some deliverable for the marketing team. Let's get started. So with Dataiku, you will start by creating a new project in order to develop your use case. First thing first, you'll have to connect to your data, and either you can connect to a bunch of different data sources, or in your case, your marketing team made it even easier because they've put all of the data that you need in a data collection. So you have access to demographic data around your customer that have been targeted by a marketing campaign before with columns indicating if they were responsive to that marketing campaign. Then you also have the same data for customers that have never been targeted by a marketing campaign before. And finally, you also have data regarding the purchasing behavior of your customer, specifically on books and other items that you sell at the stores. So let's use all of them and let's deep dive a bit in what you could get as information on your data. So you'll start by exploring your data with this tabular view. And right away, you can see some information, such as the data quality information on emptiness of your columns. You can also go a bit further and analyze your columns in order to know, for instance, here, that only 11% of your previously targeted customers were interested by a marketing campaign. And all of that information you will get right away by exploring your data. Once you've explored it, you need to enrich it with the purchasing behavior that we've seen before. And to do that, you will either use your preferred language in order to code the transformation, or you can also try to leverage the prepackaged tools that are at your disposal in order to actually go a bit quicker with that step. So here, you will just use that visual interface in order to perform a join between the customer data and the purchasing behavior of your customer. You can get the query that has been built behind the scene, and right away, you see that your job succeeded, and you can explore again the enriched data set that you have at your disposal. So now you have all of the demographic data as well as the purchasing behavior consolidated in one single data set. Great. So now we've accessed our data and we've prepared it. So you need now to focus on the machine learning model in order to work on your prediction. To do that, you will focus on the flag interested column. That is your column with the target that you want to predict. And right away, you can create a prediction model from it. Again, Dataiku is easing you the way through because you can just train a baseline model with the parameters that have been already defined by Dataiku. But for later on, you will be able to actually go through all of the parameters and change it a bit with the handling of the features that you want to include or exclude. You can also choose the different algorithm that you will train and compare. And you can even add your own custom model if you need to. Great. So now let's see what kind of results we get. So right away, you will see the two models that have been trained, the random forest and the logistic regression. You can see directly the one that is performing the best in terms of the metric ROC AUC. And you can deep dive in it in order to actually make it a bit more understandable business-wise. So here you will have the decision trees. You will have also the feature of importance and their marginal effect on the prediction. You can also have access to a lot of charts. Then you will see the confusion metrics where you can play with the threshold in order to change the focus of your model. And once you've explored all of it and you're happy with your model, you can just directly deploy your model in your pipeline. So now you have a trained model that you want to use in order to predict the new pool of customers that you want to target for your marketing campaign. To do that, you will just go through those two items and use a prepackaged tool in order to score your customer. Again, here, Dataiku is giving you a way to just use the predefined setup, but you could choose to actually override the threshold, for instance, in order to change it and define it as you wish. So now we will get a new data set that has been scored with our new pool of customer, and we know who we want to target for our campaign. Okay, great. So second step is done. Now we want to go through the generation of the emails that we will send to our customer. So to do that, you will actually leverage generative AI. So how does it work in Dataiku? You will be able to go through what is called the prompt studio in order to make some tests around the prompt that you will have to define to generate the emails. First thing first, you'll have to select the LLM that you want to use among all the ones that have been put at your disposal by your administrator. So here, let's say you want to use OpenAI. Then you will write the prompt that you want to perform. So here we are asking the LLM to actually just write an email to our customer and check if the customer has been buying a book on their last visit or if they've bought something else. So we are checking that against the data set that we've prepared. And right away, we can run the prompt on some test cases. The idea here is that you get a direct information on the costs that are generated by your prompt. So that way you can monitor the costs of all of the generative AI jobs that you're performing. And also you will see directly some test cases in order to define if that prompt is relevant for you or not. You will be able, if you want to go further, to add some example, for instance, and in that way to fine-tune the prompt that you are using. So let's say you're happy with that prompt, so you will export it as a recipe, meaning that you want to perform it over all of your customer that you want to target, because we have more than just the test cases that we've tried. And we will run that new job on all of our data set. So now we have our 56 customers that we want to target that have a email that has been generated by our LLM. That's great, but how can we make sure that that email is really relevant for all of the customers that we will target? For that, you've decided to ask the marketing team to actually provide you with another data set with some manuals emails in order to compare what they would have written manually versus what the LLM is giving you. Now we can directly compare, so the email on the left that has been written manually by the marketing team with the one that has been generated by the LLM. So that's a great way to compare a bit, but it can be a bit long to compare it row by row. So what you will do is actually leveraging a tool that is giving you a way to evaluate your LLM with some metrics. So to do that, you will just set it up, so meaning that you want to compare the LLM output with the ground truth, that is the email written by your marketing team. Then you want to compute the BERT score, which is a score of similarity between the two emails that have been generated. You will select the LLM as a judge to use. And finally, you will also select the environment, code environment that you need to use to perform that action. Now we are using the LLM as a judge in order to evaluate our prompt recipe. Okay, so what you'll get as a result is basically a series of metrics that will evaluate the precision, recall, and F1 score of your prompt. Here you can see that we have pretty good scores. It's not perfect, we could fine-tune it a bit more, but these scores are enough for you to say that these generated emails are good. I want to go with this one for a start. Okay, so that's great. Now we can say that we've done the email generation and we are good to ship it to the marketing team. And how actually are we going to ship it? So to do that, you're going to once again leverage generative AI, but this time in order to create an agent. So an agent is basically a series of tools that you will use in order to make it available to your marketing team. So here, again, I'm choosing the LLM that I want to use for my agent. And then I will set up a series of tools that will help the marketing team to get lots of information. So first, you will give them access to a way to get all of the targets of the marketing campaign, then to get the data around one specific customer, another one to get the customer email, and another one to actually send the email. Great, so now we have an agent. How are they going to use it? Well, basically, in order to use it, they will be able to directly use a visual interface such as this one, that is a chatbot, where they will be able to ask in natural language different questions that will leverage the agent that you've built before. So here, let's say the marketing team is asking for the list of the top 10 customers to target. So the agent is going to choose the right agent to answer that question and give you in natural language, again, the answer. Okay, so now we want to focus on Alex Smith. Give me the, let's say, the purchasing behavior of Alex Smith. So now my agent is actually going to focus on the second tool in order to give you the answer specific to your question. We can go a bit further. Give me the email that I should send. So now the third tool is going to take care of getting the generated email. So now we have the email that has been written. Maybe we want to fine-tune it a bit, and that's the way to give autonomy to the marketing team. So here I want to add a call to action to visit again. So now, again, the LLM is going to take care of changing a bit the email in order to add a call to action to visit again. Would you like to send this email? Let's say we want to send that email. Now we are leveraging the fourth tool in order to actually send the email to Alex Smith. And if we look at our mailbox now, we have a new email that has been sent with the call to action to visit again. So basically, in 10 minutes, you've seen how you can scale the business use case that you have and answer to all of the business requests more efficiently. Don't hesitate to come to me afterwards if you have any question, and you can scan the QR code if you want to try Dataiku with our free trial. Thank you.
Super practical. Thank you, Aude. Please give her a round of applause for this super sharp demo. All right. We are now going through something that is in production, an AI in production that we're about to see through an exclusive duo of engineers and scientists together, hand in hand, to show you how to handle real-time and the constraints around e-commerce and user experience. So please welcome Rémi and Yannick, who will present to you that. Up to you, Rémi and Yannick.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about AI in production. Have you ever tried to optimize a real-time recommendation system? If you have, probably you have struggled a little bit. So at least we did. And today we want to show you a clear use case where we put a multi-bandit in our Mirakl ad system. It is a use case where we had to juggle between high stakes and real time. So let's go. Okay, so we are all familiar with what we call a sponsored product ads. These are product recommendations that you see every day on the e-commerce website when you are shopping. So what happens when you click on these ads? The advertiser will pay because you have clicked. And on the other side, the website will get this commission. So since we want you to have a great experience on the website, we have to recommend you relevant, personalized, and high-quality ads that are not annoying. So behind the scene, it has a lot in common with a recommendation system or creating a search engine. So every day, the data science team is working on improving this algorithm. So you might say that, for example, we can use a new embeddings model to improve the search engine, for example, using images. It can be, for example, a search engine using hybrid search, or, for example, using new model using two-tower embeddings. But how can we be sure that at any time the best model is served in the system? Let's take an example. So this is a search engine. You are looking for a product, and now we are testing 3 models. So how can I be sure that the best model is served? First option, an A/B test. So we will take the traffic, split the traffic in equal parts, and use them to explore the different models. Okay, but is it the best option? Can we do better? Because I have this feeling that some revenue are lost during the exploration. And am I sure that the best model, A, for example, today, is still the best one in 6 months? Hopefully for us, we have a second option. It is called a multi-bandit. So what we are going to do is to use this model to smartly explore and exploit the different models. And what we are going to happen is that since it is a smart exploitation model, if the best model changes over time, the map will see that too. Okay, so in this room, who is familiar with the multi-arm bandit? Okay, a couple of hands. So if you don't know the multi-arm bandit, let's deep dive together. Okay, so a multi-arm bandit is an algorithm that maximizes a reward, so for example, a click for us, and it will explore, trying new options, and at the same time exploit the best option we know so far. So an algorithm of a multi-arm bandit is called Samson sampling. And I'm talking about this today because it is one of the models we have in production. Okay, so what we are going to do is to represent the success rate of the different models by a distribution. So here we have 3 models, so 3 distributions. So at the beginning, I have no idea about the success rate of this model. So we will put some prior knowledge to this. So this is why the 3 distributions are very similar. And what we are going to do is to take a draw from each distribution. So let's do it. Okay, now we have 3 numbers. And now I will take the model which is associated to the highest value. So this is the model A. So we will use it to add the recommendation to the user. And what will happen next? We will get a feedback. So now I know if it has been a success or a failure. And I will use this information to update the distribution. Okay, so next, the distribution have changed. And now I will take a draw again. So this time, we will have the B model that will serve to the user. And we will continue again and again. And after a bunch of rounds, what will happen is that the different distribution will narrow down and somehow converge. So now, if we take a draw, there is a high probability that the model we will serve will come from the distribution on the right. But still, since we are still sampling from this distribution, B and C are still explored. Okay, that was a simple explanation of a multi-arm bandit. And now, I have to serve this model in production in real time with low latency. So Yannick will talk about that.
Okay, we want this journey to be complete. And the data scientists gave us the multi-arm bandit. Now we have to push it until production. But I think you might know that many AI projects on production is tough. And it's even way more difficult when you want to achieve low latency requirements as we do in our advertisement ecosystem. So we faced an engineering challenge, first answering in less than 10 milliseconds. When you do the inference was mandatory. You don't want to mess with the user experience in an e-commerce situation. Of course, being at scale for more than 1,000 requests per second was needed. I think for the same goes for everybody. And this worldwide, of course. And I insist on worldwide because it means that each piece of your application, of your advertisement application, anywhere in the world must meet those requirements. So as many of you, we already had some cloud-managed ML platform, but it was not enough to meet these requirements. We needed something else. We also thought of having an e-commerce advertisement monolithic application inside which you embed the model logic, but this would slow down data scientist iteration. I mean, every time they would want to bring something new to the model, they would have to coordinate with the development team, and this would lower down AI productivity too slow. So we are happy to share a solution that we did bring to make this multi-arm bandit meet this requirement. So you have to reach collocation. And luckily, our company was already Kubernetes oriented. So that's why we aim for Kserve, which is an open source project based on Kubernetes, part of Kubeflow framework. The idea was to build a little inference platform that would seamlessly integrate with what you already have, like a cloud ML platform, something like this, be complementary, not restrictive. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. So here you have your data scientists, and there are already existing ML flow model registry somewhere on Databricks, for instance. We built a library that would help them communicate with Kserve to create what we call an inference service. An inference service is a Kubernetes resource that lie in Kubernetes and that will, under the hood, serve your model at the nearest possible of your application in e-commerce. And it's easy to add monitoring stuff on it and, of course, push your prediction to Kafka, for instance, that will let them flow to your data platform and bring some feedback loop to your data scientist, which is very important to us. And of course, everything lie down in Kubernetes, so it's super easy for your advertisement stack to be co-located with your inference service. So we'll do a very quick demo on how to spin up this kind of inference services. Let's say you're a data scientist. Imagine you're a data scientist in your Jupyter notebook somewhere or in your cloud provider, and you're using this DS inference library we built for them. So you want at some point to deploy your inference service in some kind of test environment near your customer, and that's what we are doing here. So we will run this cell soon enough. That will deploy a multi-arm bandit in Kubernetes just as nearest possible of your advertisement stack. So now if I switch to a Kubernetes command line, I will use kubectl here to ask Kubernetes, hey, what are the list of inference services? ISVC stands for inference service. And as you can see, in 1 second, we can see that our MAB, multi-arm bandit inference services, is running now. And under the hood, you will have a model serving stack that will be ready to serve your model strategy. I think you're getting the essence of it. And I will go back to the slide and let Rémi wrap this up with one question. Does that actually really work?
Yes, it works. It does actually. Good news. Okay, so now here we can see that we succeeded to meet the low latency requirement in this project. And also good news, the multi-arm bandit is working. So this is an example of the time when we have introduced a new algorithm in the search engine in Mirakl ads. So before, we only used textual data, and we used the multi-arm bandit to introduce a new algorithm using image data in the search engine. So we can see that at the beginning, we have this 50-50 split in the traffic. And as we go, the multi-arm bandit understand that the second model is better. So go back to our first question, how to juggle between high stakes and real time. First, take your time, because a model like a multi-arm bandit is very sensitive to parameters. Take your time to understand the behavior, simulate them, and this is how you will succeed in production. Second, focus on data science productivity. The whole thing, the whole system, the inference library have been built to make our life easier for us data scientists. So this is why now we can deploy and update a model in almost 1 line of code. Third, good news, low latency is possible. So now I will leave you with 2 things. First, take a look on Kserve project. It is an open source project. You can learn a lot. And second, these are our LinkedIn profile. So if you want to talk about this topic, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rémi and Yannick. Super practical and AI in production. So thanks a lot. We're going to have 2 last speakers now, Gitlab and then OpenAI. So Salahddine, please welcome him. He's going to talk about how to secure your entire development lifecycle, not only code completion, but the whole journey. So let's give it up for Salahddine.
So we know today that we spend in development around 20% of our time writing the code. But we spend the majority of our time doing other things, like collaborating with product managers to generate new requirements for new implementations, working for security teams to manage vulnerabilities, refactoring our code, securing it, improving it, and so on. So bringing AI into only code generation is the wrong way to think about it. In order to empower you in your daily tasks, we need to put AI into the entire software development lifecycle. And second, you may be experiencing some duplication and disparity in tooling. So for instance, for agile aspects, you will need to switch on agile product to work with your product manager. And then for security, you need to switch on vulnerability management tool, and so on. So this disparity leads to a loss in a focus and a waste of time. And basically bringing AI into this tool chain as is will only make things worse and intensify the problem. We need to bring a unified data context and a unified platform for all your team members. So, with GitLab and the solution GitLab DU, we brought AI into different use cases beyond code generation. Basically, this is a GitLab flow. So it's a branching strategy where we combine feature-driven development with issue tracking. So it provides you with a path from planning into development until deployment into production. So in focusing on the first part about planning, before starting any development, we start by an idea. Your organization have goals, milestones, epics. These translated in form of stories. And these stories are presented in issues in GitLab platform. Discussions are happening in there, and sometimes they might get long with different threads, different aspects. So basically, as a developer, I need to focus on the key points. Let's see how GitLab DU will help me to get the key points of all discussions in an issue. So here you can see a GitLab platform, and I opened an issue in here. And the subject of this issue is mainly validate the size of uploaded files. So this is a new feature. And my team members, as you can see, have been discussing this implementation and additional requirements in different threads. So there is one about the file size, which should be less than 50 megabytes, for instance. About the protocols to implement, about the error messaging, and so on. Thankfully, GitLab DU provide me with a view summary button here. And voila. In this summary, you can see I got sum up of all discussion happened there, and also the key points I should focus on for my development stage. We're seeing our customers using this to make sure that everyone understands what is required from him, and also to improve the collaboration between product managers and their developers. Second, since we know what we should implement, then we will focus on the code generation aspect. And we'll see now how GitLab DU will help me to generate a new code, and also to help me to debug a situation, to find the root analysis into my pipeline bug, and fix it directly. Let's go back into the demo. And as you know, the first step, well, this is the best practice in GitLab Flow. The first step is to start by creating a merge request, which is the place where all the changes are happening around the code, and also reviews, collaboration on the code part. Let me generate the merge request. And as you can see, I have here an empty merge request. There is no changes on it. To start making the changes in the branch associated to this merge request, I will open my IDE. And here, as you can see, I open my code file, and I'll insert a description in a comment of the function I want to implement. So this basically tells the platform that I want to implement a function to test uploaded file and limit it into 50 megabytes. I answered the comment. And then it generates, GitLab DO generates for me the associated function to this implementation. Now, since we made the implementation, you know that the best thing to do is to make tests around this function. So GitLab DO is capable to provide all the tests associated to this function. There is a chat option or a chat feature. It's a plugin integrated into this IDE to my GitLab DO to ask him to generate all the tests for this function by using only assert true. Let me send the prompt. And voila, it generates the tests associated to this function. So now I'll take these tests and insert them into my test file. Now I've made the changes. I'll commit these changes into my branch, which is associated to my merge request. Now, there is something important to know that because we spend our time working on multiple features, we're not working on a single merge request at a time. So we need to add some description for us when we come back to this feature, and also for our colleagues to understand what we are doing there without reading the code every time. So basically, I need to add a description. I will edit this merge request. Something. And as you can see, GitLab DO provide me with this feature as well, which will generate a description of my implementation based on my code changes directly. And voila, this is a description that tells me about the implementation, the limitation, and the name of my function, so everyone can see what is happening there. And as you can see, there is a pipeline running. So for every change, there is a pipeline that is triggered, which will build my application, test it, and maybe deploy it to a review environment. Let's take a look into my pipeline. You see that almost everything went fine except test job. So there is some issue basically in this pipeline. I need to find out the reason behind. I can open this job. And here I find a very long log with too many details. So I could spend lots of time reading all the log to find the main reason behind and the root cause. Thankfully, GitLab DO provide me with a troubleshooting button here. And this will basically scrap this log, adding context to it, and help GitLab DO to find the root cause. So here, he found that I'm using a wrong colon into one of my functions, and also it provides me a way of how to fix it in the code directly. So let's go back to my IDE, fix my colon in my function, and then merge again this change into my merge request. So voila, everything went fine. I've merged all the changes in this merge request, and I'm ready to merge it into main branches or production branches. But as you know, before merging into production branches, I might have introduced some issues into my code, so my colleagues or more senior developers can provide me with reviews. And I may have introduced some vulnerabilities as well. So I need to fix these vulnerabilities, and let's see how GitLab DO will help me to remediate that. So basically, a scan was triggered in the pipeline. He found that I've injected NiSQL injection issue. So this is a static scanner. And let me click on this vulnerability and see what it means. I get a detail of this vulnerability, but I can ask GitLab DO to provide me with further explanation that is easy to understand with some examples by clicking the explanation button here. And voila, you can see how this vulnerability is happening, how the attackers may use it to attack my application, and also how to fix it manually if I want. Well, luckily, this is a very known issue, so we can also use GitLab DO to remediate it automatically. Let me resolve it with AI. So voila, GitLab DO have created a merge request with all the changes to fix this vulnerability automatically. Our customers are using this to ensure that the applications are secure and also to improve the quality of their products. This leads to more customer satisfaction when it comes to their developments. So we've seen how GitLab Duo can help you with the entire software development lifecycle. In addition, there is many more use cases. We're working also on some agentic approach. We have some products like GitLab Duo Workflow, GitLab Duo with Amazon Q, that we can basically start from an idea, and it generates the entire merge request with the implementation, for instance, to upgrade the entire application version from a Java old version to a newer one, or to refactor all your code, and so on. If you want to try this same demo, you can scan the first link, and also please feel free to contact us to talk to an expert and maybe to start a trial with your organization. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Salahddine. All right, we're reaching to the last but not least. We're going to talk about how to build an agent with Operator and O3 Mini. So we'll welcome Katia from the OpenAI Developer Experience team. So please give her a round of applause.
Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, hi everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Katia Guzman, and I'm part of the developer experience team at OpenAI, based in London, but I'm from Paris originally, so glad to be back home. And so today I'm going to talk about reasoning agents. But first, I just want to acknowledge that 2024 was a crazy year. So we launched over 100 new API features. We launched structured outposts, the batch API, more fine-tuning for more models, and probably the biggest launch of all was our new real-time API that allows you to build interactive, real-time speech-to-speech experiences. But the real breakthrough of 2024 was reasoning. And it started with the launch of O1 and O1 Mini just 4 months ago. So 4 months ago, I don't know if you can imagine, but that's not a long time. So this reasoning paradigm is very, very new, and we've already seen some competition rise, most notably with DeepSeek and the launch of their R1 model recently. But we're continuing to build, and we're striving to be at the forefront of building frontier models, as we demonstrated with the preview of O3 in December and the launch of O3 Mini just a couple of weeks ago, actually 10 days ago, 12 days ago. It's very recent. And so O3 Mini is our best model yet in some tasks. So for example, this is the benchmark for competition coding. And as you can see, there are 3 different flavors of O3 Mini. There's a different reasoning effort that you can choose. And so we have low, medium, or high. And of course, the higher the reasoning effort, the more time it will take to get an answer, but it will be a better answer. So it's a trade-off. And so if you look at this, you can see that O3 Mini medium, which is the default reasoning effort, actually outperforms O1 that we launched just recently. And the great thing about O3 Mini is that it's actually cheaper, a lot cheaper than our previous reasoning models. So it's actually 93% cheaper than O1, so you can get great performance at a much lower price. So these models, they can reason through complex tasks like mathematics, coding, science, strategy, logistics. But what does it mean exactly? What does it mean to reason? Well, it's actually the models having an inner monologue of sorts, kind of like we humans do. I know some people don't like to use the term reasoning because it's very human, but when you analyze what's going on behind the scene, when you look at the chain of thought that the models are having, it's like they're talking to themselves like we do. So if you don't look at the high-level summary that you can see in ChatGPT, but you actually look at the behind-the-scene chain of thought, you can see the models go like, oh, okay, this looks good, this looks promising. Oh, wait, no, it's not possible because of this. Let me try something else. And so by doing that, they're actually iterating on their answers. They're analyzing different possible paths, and that's what allows them to get to the right answer. And so with reasoning, you can actually tackle different tasks that you couldn't do before. So you can navigate very ambiguous tasks where you don't have all the context, but these models are actually really good at understanding with less prompting what the users actually want. You can find a needle in a haystack. So that means if you have like a lot of information, you can just pass that to the models, and it will be very good at just picking out just the piece of information that's needed to answer the question. They can also analyze large volumes of complex information. So if you have very complex documents like legal documents or medical data, they're actually really good at processing that. And the last thing is being able to perform multi-step agentic planning. And so we really think that reasoning lays the foundation for agents. And that was kind of the missing step, so we could build like more powerful agents. And so we heard, I don't know if you heard it, but I heard it a lot, that 2025 was the year of agents. And we've talked about agents for a while. What does it mean exactly? It's kind of vague, but to us, it's kind of the idea of moving from an AI that can answer questions to an AI that can actually perform complex actions and perform tasks on your behalf. And so we launched 2 agents already in 2025, so like in the past month. The first one is Operator. So if you haven't heard about it, it's based on the new model that's called the computer using agent that we launched that can actually perform tasks on a computer interface. So it can just look at an interface, do clicks, scroll like you would use an interface, and it will do that automatically for you. And so it's already available, not in Europe, unfortunately, but it's already available outside of Europe. And it's now available through an interface, but it will actually come very soon in the API. And the second agent that we launched is Deep Research. And so this one, if you haven't heard about it, please see videos, try it out if you can. It's now available in Europe, this one, but for now it's just for pro users. Just out of curiosity, did anyone try it in this room or? Oh, so a few people, great. So this is actually my favorite product of all time. It's crazy. It's an agent that will actually go off and do research for you. Sometimes it will take 5 minutes, sometimes it will take 30 minutes. It will just browse the internet and find a lot of different sources, and at the end, it will just produce this super comprehensive report. So it's pretty impressive. And so those agents, it's now possible thanks to models like O3 and O3 Mini. Deep Research is actually based on an optimized version of O3. And so before we had these reasoning models, it was hard to build agents like this. But it's great to use agents. But what's even greater is if you actually build them so that your users can benefit from that experience. And so we're going to illustrate that with a demo just to show you what a reasoning agent could look like. And so this demo is in 3 steps. The first step is the data gathering part. And so for that, we're going to use the computer using agent. For the second part, we'll actually build a graph with the data that we've collected, and we're going to use O3 Mini for that. And for the third part, we're going to just explore the graph, talk to an assistant in a conversational way that can help us kind of analyze insights from this graph. So the first step, I can't really show you what it looks like because it's going to come out soon. I can't tell you when, but it's the same thing that you have in Operator, but through the API. And so what's great about this is that unlike with Operator, you can actually trigger a lot of different things at the same time. You don't have to wait for it to complete. You can just launch the process, and it will happen in the background. And so with a computer using agent, you can actually reach information that is not available through APIs, that is not available through something that you would easily find programmatically. So you can trigger all of these processes, you can skip all of the manual part, and just at the end have your information ready to be used. And so for the second part and the third part, I'm going to actually show you some code and show you what it looks like. So here, I'm just going to switch to a notebook here. So you can see, let me see if I can zoom in. So you can see what the data that we collected using the computer using agent looks like. So this is just the raw output. And just so we stay in the team, I've actually asked the computer using agent to find information about all of the future 40 startups, because we're in Station F, and I wanted to do something that is relevant to this audience. So I just asked the agent to find me information about all of the future 40 startups. And this is the raw output. So if you look at it, sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes it actually respects the format that I asked for, so it gives me a company description, location, funding information, information about the founders, etc., etc. So this is just the raw output that we get from step 1, that we got from KUA, computer using agent. Then we're going into the second step, which is actually extracting data, structured data, from this unstructured output so that we can build a graph afterwards. And so this is the type of thing that we can do with O3 Mini very easily. And having tried it with previous models, it wasn't as easy at all, and now it just works. So you can just specify the entities and the relationships that you're looking for in all of that unstructured data, and you ask O3 Mini, okay, this is the format that I want. I want to put this into a graph, and as the output, you get first the different relationships that it can guess from the text, and then you get actually structured nodes that you can just load into a graph. And so all of that, I didn't have to prompt extensively. I didn't have to do like a lot of data pre-processing. I just had to give the relationships and the entities that I was looking for, and O3 Mini just figured it out in one prompt. And so at the end, we're loading all of this data into a graph, and this is what we get. So it's a graph that is that contains information about the academic institutions, about the companies, the investors, etc. So, for example, if we look at here, just if we want to show the investors, we're gonna do this, and we can just return all of the investors that have invested in future 40 startups. And if we click on one, what's great about the graph is that now everything is interconnected, and we can kind of traverse the graph to find insights. So for example, here, I click on Equity Ventures. They have invested in 4 of those startups. If I click on one startup, .txt, I can see kind of the other relationships it has. If I click on artificial intelligence, I can see the other startups in the Future 40 list that have that are in this industry. If I click on another startup, I can see the other relationships. So it's a very interesting way to analyze information, because it's something that you wouldn't have with just regular tabular data. And now what we can also do with O3 Mini is actually use that information and just have a conversation with it, so that we can, okay, I'm going to speed it up. Have a conversation with it. So I think we're a bit late, so I'll just speed it up, and I'll show you the queries that I prepared just in case we were out of time. But this is the type of thing we can ask. So we can ask, for example, I'm interested in AI. What are technologies related to this? And O3 Mini will just come up with the right query, find results, execute a lot of different queries in a row, traverse the graph so that it can give us like comprehensive reports and insights based on that. I don't have time to show you the other examples, apparently, but if you have questions, let me know. I will show you what you can do with this app and how you can use O3 Mini to build powerful agents that can do things that just weren't possible before. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Katia. So this was a teaser for what's coming up next at the end of the year. Super. Thank you for your attendance. I hope you learn a little bit of how to action and ship AI. We're back in November 6th, .ai.io. Join us. We'll have much longer sessions and actionable content and the ability to meet one-on-one the contributor. Thanks a lot.